Good evening. I am going to talk about my research study, which is named The Promotion of Student Interaction through Cooperative Work and Communicative Strategies in A1 Learners. So, to start, I'm going to describe Chapter 3. The type of the study is a qualitative study, and it's an action research study, which is based in a classroom difficulty identified by the teacher, and in a cycling way, it's looking for strategies that help to give an answer to this difficulty. The participants of this study are 20 adolescents who are in ninth grade in a public school in Neiva. Their ages are from 14 to 15 years old, and they are students with basic communicative abilities, and let's say they are not used to speak English within their friends or within their partners in the classroom. Their main communicative exchange in the classroom are based on the teacher-student interaction, but not in the student-student interaction. The researcher's role during this research study is a participant role and also is a researcher role. And considering the ethical considerations of the study, there were applied different consent forms for the school and granted permission from the parents and participants. Let's go to the research question. So the research question for this research study is: to what extent does the use of communicative strategies through cooperative tasks affect student-student oral interactions of ninth graders with A1, L2 English? The main objective for this research study is to analyze the possible effects of communicative strategies along with cooperative tasks to promote oral interaction skills. And also the specific objective it's to promote oral interaction, not the oral skill. And also the specific objective is to identify students interaction in cooperative tasks and how the use of communicative strategies promote those interactions. Now the data collection instruments that were so there is a graph here which intends to summarize the main constructs of the research study. So briefly, let's say the application is how the practice of communicative strategies through cooperative tasks affect student-student oral interaction. To what extent this approach of cooperative and the communicative strategies, how they affect or they may influence the student-student oral interaction. So in this way, the objective is to identify those students interaction that are or that may be present during the cooperative task, and also how the communicative strategies promote those interactions. So now the data collection instruments for the research study. 5 data collection instruments were applied for the research. The 5 instruments correspond to non-observational tools and also to observational tools. The non-observational tools are mainly questionnaires, students' logs, who focus on, let's say, gather information regarding the students' beliefs, the students' attitudes, and the students' factual and behaviors regarding cooperative work, regarding their interactions among each other, and also regarding the use of of communicative strategies, even though they didn't know what communicative strategies were. So what the data collected here was mainly based on the learner's students' perception, student beliefs, and students' attitudes regarding the strategy training and the approach chosen for the development of the project. The other, let's say, instrument for non-observational information is peer assessment forum, where the teacher here intends to collect information from the peer's view regarding students' use of communicative strategies during the training and during the peer activities, which occur before the final group oral interaction task. And finally, the observation, for a non-observational tool, there is the teacher's journal, which is based on the teacher's perceptions, the teacher's beliefs, the teacher's observations while they were she was implementing she was doing the pedagogical intervention. Also, the final activity, which is a cooperative activity or a cooperative task in groups, it's going to be was recorded and was assessed through a rubric. It's important to say here that also the recording allow the researcher to gain more information and more detailed information about the students' interactions, and to have transcripts of those interactions that support the results of the rubric, and also that supports the students' answers in the questionnaire regarding their use of communicative strategies, and also the peers assessment form, where the students assess each other's use of communicative strategies during the interactions. I am going to then go to the file where the questionnaires are. In the beginning I have a survey, but then I decided to switch to questionnaires. They are semi-structured questionnaires because it contains closed and open-ended questions. The questionnaire, the pre-implementation, there is one that is going to be applied before the pedagogical intervention, and focus on analyzing factual information about students, let's say, feelings regarding their oral interactions in the classroom, and also how they consider how they assess their own oral interaction ability. Then I am asking them the frequency in which they use English to participate in any activity in the classroom. And finally, I'm focusing on this communicative strategies and giving them examples, and I'm telling them, as I'm naming them, situations in which students may use English in the classroom to interact with each other. So I'm giving them several options that they have to choose. They may choose more than one. And then for the next question, they are going to explain how they act, how they behave during that activity, how, for example, if they choose al saludar, so how do they saludan, how do they greet their partners in English. Finally, I am focusing the questionnaire on the cooperative work. Some students still by this stage of the project, they may confuse cooperative work with group work, and so that's why in brackets I try to give a definition of cooperative work. In this question I want to gather information about their opinions and their belief regarding cooperative work. What do they think cooperative work is? How do they perform cooperative work in the classroom? And also, I am giving them in the seventh question, I'm giving them some functions that people may perform during cooperative work. So I want to collect information. I want to know if students take different roles while they work in groups, and to start, let's say, defining what are the main leaders for the groups, so I can organize groups for the implementation stage, cooperative groups. And then I am in the last question, I'm trying to have the students foresee how their perceptions about cooperative work and how it may affect their learning. In fact, I think I should narrow this not to affect their learning, but probably to affect their oral interaction. Okay, then for the post implementation questionnaire, which is going to be delivered at the end of the intervention, I am also gathering information about students' feelings, behaviors, and attitudes, and factual information regarding the communicative strategies, regarding the interactions, and regarding the cooperative work. So I can make a comparison at the end with the pre and the post data gathered. So number one, I'm asking for factual information about, asking them how they felt during the oral activities and during the practice of the communicative strategies, and I'm trying to explain them what the communicative strategies, to remind them what the communicative strategies are. Then I want to know if they think that the oral interaction has been promoted by the use of communicative strategies. Then I want to know which of the communicative strategies they feel they used more when they were doing the group activity, the group oral interaction activity. I also want them to assess the frequency in which they use those strategies. They have to decide between in a scale from never to always. Then I want to know if students have more preferences over the three cooperative tasks that are cooperative techniques that were developed during the implementation. So I want to know if they feel that maybe one of the techniques worked better than the other in terms of promoting oral interaction. And finally, I want to know if cooperative work influence in any